As you all know, early Wednesday, after the first wave of this storm came through, I made the decision to tap those federal resources because of what we saw was needed at that time. I sought a federal emergency disaster declaration and talked with the Director of Intergovernmental Relations in the White House on that day. That night, from about noon to 1 o'clock until 9 o'clock at night, that paperwork was personally walked through the process and through the White House by the Intergovernmental Relations folks, and the President called me at 9 o'clock that evening and said that he would be executing that declaration very shortly, which he did at around 10 o'clock Wednesday evening. He also expressed his concern for the people here and assured us that the federal government was stepping in and would do everything in its power to help us and our people through this crisis. We've asked for a variety of items, such as generators, cots, food, bottled water, communications equipment, and debris removal equipment. And that list is growing all the time as conditions on the ground change and we become more aware of the growing need in more areas. I want to personally thank President Obama for his personal interest and the federal government in general for its response. I also want to thank our congressional delegation, especially Senator McConnell, for their assistance. As soon as we contacted them on Wednesday and told them that we would be trying to get an emergency declaration, Senator McConnell and the other members of the delegation went to work and contacted the White House also in response to our request for that declaration, and we very much appreciate that help. I also want to thank Janet Napolitano, Secretary of the Federal Department of Homeland Security. I talked with her this morning. Fortunately, a former governor is now the head of Homeland Security because governors understand better than anybody what is involved in these kinds of crises, and they understand better than anybody what red tape is all about and how you get through that red tape. And she and her agency have been working, FEMA is under that agency, and they have been working and cutting through this red tape since we hit the ground running on Wednesday. We also talked to Tennessee Governor Phil Bredesen today. We found that some of the trucks bringing some of the equipment and supplies had been stopped at way stations in Tennessee, which is the usual thing for trucks coming through a state. We called the governor's office, and the commissioner of safety, I believe, there quickly corrected that situation to where the trucks could roll on into Kentucky. As you know, we've already waived those requirements in Kentucky. And I want to thank Governor Bredesen of Tennessee for their help. They are also helping, I believe, down in far west Kentucky.
Yes, sir.
In terms of some shelters that are actually over on the Tennessee side of the border, but we are cooperating with them in running those shelters and getting our folks the help that they need. Obviously, as with any emergency, the supplies and help can never arrive quick enough and in large enough quantities, but we are in general very pleased so far with where we are. Things by nature move slowly, but we feel the government is responding in a timely fashion. Finally, I want to say as governor of this state that I am amazed by the resilience of Kentuckians in these affected areas and the compassion and the willingness of neighbors who are offering their help. When we were in western Kentucky yesterday and we were in Louisville and Lexington the day before, it was amazing to see the positive attitudes that the people of this state have, even going through the kind of crisis they're going through, and even under the dire circumstances that they're in right now. People's spirits were good. They were working with each other and helping each other. They were reaching across county lines, reaching across city lines, and the level of cooperation has been outstanding with all of our local officials and with the people in general across our state. You know, we are again being tested as a state, and it appears that we may continue to be tested because, according to the National Weather Service, we have the possibility of another storm system coming into Kentucky on Monday and Tuesday. We're not being alarmist when we call that to the attention of the people of this state, but we're being prudent. We have already alerted FEMA, who have people on the ground here. We've alerted the White House. I talked to Cecilia Munoz, who is the Director of Intergovernmental Relations, the same person that took our initial request and walked it through. I talked to her this morning, and we have alerted all of the appropriate personnel that we could be facing an even further crisis come Monday and Tuesday if that weather moves in as they think it may. So we're going to be watching that carefully. We are also going to be working with FEMA to make some preparations for that in terms of making sure that further supplies and equipment as may be needed will be in areas located around our state at various points where they stage their operations, so that at a moment's notice, if we need additional equipment and we need additional supplies from what we're already requesting, it will be available and we can move quickly to any new areas that may be affected come Monday and Tuesday. I'm inspired by all of the volunteers out here, all of the private agencies, the American Red Cross. They're donating their time and resources, as you know, by these response workers who are going above and beyond the commitment to a job to help those in need. And what you've got to understand is that all of these National Guard, all of these folks working out here, they also have families most of the time that are in just as dire straits as the folks they're helping. They don't have water, they don't have food, they don't have heat, and they don't have telephone service. But these folks are out doing their jobs, and I couldn't be more proud of them. I assure you once again that state government, no matter what the cost, is going to do everything necessary to protect the lives and the welfare of our citizens.